Hello, my name is Tammy. I'm a volunteer with the USS Indianapolis Legacy Organization, and I've helped locate more than 20 USS Indianapolis crew member photos. I'm going to share some tips to help with your Indy crew member photo search. It's through a combination of resources and methods that I've been successful in locating the missing photos of the Indy crew members that I have. I started with the intention of locating one photo of one crew member, and it blossomed into a much larger project than I could have ever imagined. The USS Indianapolis crew members deserve the simple recognition of putting a face with each of their names. Many of the family members that I've met during my research have been so kind and appreciative of the photo request. My photo finding journey has been a humbling and gratifying experience. Project 888 has an excellent list of research resources, so I do recommend that you check it out at www.ussindianapolis.org. Click on the Project 888 link and scroll to the Project Q&A. A couple of things to keep in mind, whether you use a dedicated notebook or even a spreadsheet. It's important to stay organized and keep notes for reference throughout your research efforts. And keeping a list of keywords is helpful too. Some keywords include the crew member name, whether it's formal or informal, a birth date, birthplace, the USS Indianapolis name, and a date like July 30, 1945, or a date range such as July 30, 1945 to December 1, 1945. My resources and methods include web searches, the Find a Grave website, libraries, churches, trial subscriptions to online newspaper repositories, and even social media. I promise to share my tips, so let's get started. I found my first photo through a small community library. I didn't live close by, so going in person wasn't an option. I called them, explained that I was doing research, and asked for help. I gave them the date range and the USS Indianapolis as the subject. They emailed me several articles, and one of them had a crew member's picture. It was one of the missing photos. It wasn't very good, so I asked them to scan just the photo. They did, and it was much better. There's more to this story, but I think you get the idea. Libraries can be very helpful. There was a crew member from a small town in Missouri, and he had a connection to the Catholic parish. I contacted the church. They actually had a plaque of the crew member and a picture of the ship on the wall. They looked into their records and connected me with a relative of the crew member, and another photo was found. Trial subscriptions to online newspaper repositories are good, but make sure you are ready to use your trial subscription before you start it. If you are lucky enough to find a photo quickly, you are done. However, most times you will not find a photo. So look for an article or an obituary. These may provide information such as family names, churches, or even a birthplace, all of which are useful pieces of information. Download anything you can find. Cast a wide net, you can always narrow it down. Two trial subscription sites that I use are newspapers.com and newspaperarchive.com. Find a Grave searches can be very helpful. You may not find the crew member's photo with their memorial, but family members' memorials connected to the crew member could provide valuable information to follow up with. This was the case with a crew member I was researching. His brother had a detailed obituary which listed his children's names and where they lived. His children would be the crew member's nieces. I did a web search, and with a little extra effort, I was able to find working numbers. I was able to make contact with them, and am working to get the photo. If Find a Grave lists a different birthplace, I make note of it. There could be articles in their hometown newspapers. So even if the info you have indicates they were from somewhere else, never dismiss the possibility that it could be different. A crew member that I'm working on was born in Iowa, but is buried in California, so I'm working on both states. My final words about Find a Grave are to look at who maintains the memorial. It could be a family member. I had success securing another photo that way too. For web searches, you can use Google or any other search engine. There are a couple of ways to approach web searches. The first is to see if anything pops up with a simple search of entering the keywords like the crew member's name, the USS Indianapolis, and the year 1945. You might expand it to the lost at sea date of July 30, 1945, or in a survivor's case, the date they passed away. Another use of the web search is to come back to it with all the information you collected from the other sources, like Find a Grave, a library, newspaper articles, or an obituary, and use it to see if you can discover even more information or even find a phone number. You've done your research and you've found some phone numbers. What do you do? If you find a phone number, make the call. If they answer, don't panic. Tell them who you are, that you're doing historical research on the USS Indianapolis, trying to locate crew member photos, and that you believe they may be related to the crew member. If they are related, wonderful. Hopefully you're on your way to getting the photo. But the important thing is to ask for the photo of the crew member in their uniform, be clear about your ask and how the photo will be delivered and when it will be delivered. Give contact info and get contact info, including email, because that's probably how you will receive the photo. Leave a message if no one answers. You'd be surprised. People will call you back. I have called many numbers, many with success and reaching a family member, and others without success, but I was able to cross the number off the list one way or the other. Finding USS Indianapolis crew member photos takes plenty of patience, but it is so gratifying when you locate a photo. Please keep in mind there is no one best method or source. You'll probably try multiple ways as you navigate your way through the process. You will hit roadblocks. Don't be discouraged. Consider it part of the journey. The reward of finding the USS Indianapolis crew member's photo will be well worth your effort.